Hello, Grassroots Champions Soccer Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1. Today, joining us on the show,
Matt VanBenschoten. I'm the Juniors Director at Minnesota Thunder Academy and the General Manager for Minneapolis City SC.
in the warm-up, final weeks of the soccer year, including tryouts coming up. Best time of the year, right?
Favorite season.
A lot of fun. Been at USA Cup all week.
Yep. Nate, pro soccer.
Yep, we're going to preview the 2025-26 European season. It gets kicked off in 3 weeks. It's getting close, guys. A lot of optimism among all the teams.
Yep. Can't wait to hear about it. I've been blocking up pro soccer, so you'll inform us. In extra time, maybe we'll have time for some tryout memes.
Naturally.
I'm just here for the memes.
And then the scouting report. We know that tryouts can be stressful, but hey, we got some positivity and optimistic things we can talk about.
Yep. Lots of things to look forward to today on Grassroots Champions Soccer Podcast. Let's do it.
All right, everyone. Question of the day. What was your favorite episode from the first season of the Grassroots Champions Soccer Podcast?
Favorite episode or just favorite moment or highlight?
Put it in the comments. Let us know what your favorite one was, and then we will also answer it as well.
Yeah. First comment by Matt.
I would say my favorites from the last season when you guys were talking about rec soccer and you're talking about parent coaches and how to advise them and just how to embrace the chaos and the order versus control. And anybody who's done rec soccer before understands that it is crazy and it's nuts. And if you are willing to accept that there's going to be chaos and just lean into it, phenomenal advice. So
Yeah.
good.
Soccer's best when it's on the line between order and chaos. Not too much order, not too much chaos. Sit on that line. But you guys let us know what was your favorite moment from Season 1.
Charlie, what was yours?
All the Man U jokes.
The stadium.
And there's a lot of them, I'm sure.
Nate?
I had two. I really enjoyed the Ray Hudson game. For all those who watched episode 9, I think I got just over 50%.
Yeah, I think I did the math wrong too. My
sorry.
formula was wrong, but you were about
Just
half.
under 50%. And then my second one was the Serie A table, in which Charlie had to guess how the Italian league had looked after, I think it was 20 weeks.
Did I get 1 out of 9 right?
I think you did.
1
Yeah.
out of 9. But that's the whole point. It was crazy, right? You guys, let us know what was your favorite moment from Season 1, because we're on Season 2 now. New podcast. Who dis? Oh, Larry Johnson's here too. All right, warm up. Nate, what have you been up to?
Well, for all those that have been following, the Twins, they won state, Super NPL, and yeah, it's exciting. So, went to Denver, and in an extremely difficult bracket, they lost their first game 3-0, thought they were coming home. Then pulled a 3-1 win over a Californian side, and then with all to do, beat a Texas team 3-0 to squeak into the semifinals.
That's fantastic.
And then from there, we came back from a goal down and won 2-1 with 10 men.
Wow.
Before the kind of thud from the final, in which we conceded 3 goals in the first half. But hey, guys, you did great. Congratulations, second place in NPL Nationals.
Second in the nation. Not bad, right?
Pretty cool, yeah. So proud of those guys, and looking forward to going at it again next year.
And the same exact time you were in Denver, Colorado, so were we with Rush Fest.
That's right.
If you guys don't know what Rush Fest is, it's a big week-long soccer party. Played Rush teams from all over the country. We played against a Canada team too. Crazy time. Just a week of, I think we played 6 games in 5 days. And we had a rest day on Wednesday of midweek so they could get used to the altitude. Never seen a soccer event like that. We ended up winning the Spirit Award. Maybe I'll put a little picture up here. That's what it's really about. It's not about winning the games. It's about having a great time, representing Rush, kind of getting indoctrinated into the Rush thing. It's a little weird, but super special soccer week. And now USA Cup, right? Biggest soccer tournament in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Crazy times right here in our backyard. 3 minutes from the studio. Awesome time. Matt, what's going on with you guys?
Currently with MTA, we're getting done with tryouts. Just wrapped up the juniors tryouts last night, so we're getting into team formations and just having a lot of parent conversations, which is really good. And then for Minneapolis City, we are actually going down to Des Moines tomorrow. We play Peoria in the first round of the USL2 playoffs, which is awesome. Our first time qualifying for that. And if we win that tomorrow, then we go through and we'll likely play Des Moines Menace on Sunday.
Awesome. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Lots of soccer going on, right? Before tryout season, which is actually main topic of the episode today is tryouts. Let's get into it. Youth soccer. Well, we're talking about tryouts and youth soccer. I thought we could start with the positive side, because we'll get to the negative side in just a second, or the challenges. Maybe they're not all negative, but for me, some of my favorite parts about tryouts are seeing every single player in the club. Super awesome. Maybe some players I haven't seen since last tryouts. I'm like, oh, I remember you. Some players I know very well. Just maybe seeing them try their best because they want to make that team. Seeing the new players, meeting new players that come in from different places, either our rec program or other clubs. Maybe it's only for a couple of days, but great to see new players and get to know them. And then I think it's a really great chance for a fresh look at these players. Right? A lot of our evaluators haven't seen them in a year, and you get a fresh look at these kids who maybe have earned their spot. And it's really great to see those kids work really hard all year long and then achieve their goals. I think that's my favorite parts about tryouts.
That's awesome. Yeah, and for me, it's kind of about that optimism. I have 3 boys that play the game, and at the end of the year, it's a fresh, and they've done really well, and they're all playing on academy teams, but they still have that optimism and wanting to get, hey, maybe they'll see me as like a winger this year, things like that, just like new ideas. And so I really enjoy like the optimism of the kids as they enter tryouts.
Yeah, I think my favorite part with the tryout process is probably after tryouts when you see a player who's actually hit their goal and has actualized it, and just the joy and the confidence that comes with that. Because obviously, and we'll talk about this, I think there's a lot of stress that comes with tryouts, and there can be a lot of disappointment. But I think those success stories, especially as a coach, that's what drives you, and it's really cool to see. So I think that's my favorite moment.
I think especially if you're that coach who gets that kid to the next team, you kind of go like, all right, well, it's you. You did it,
right.
But we did it together, and that's what we're here for, right? It's like these kids get better, especially, you do the juniors. I'm kind of your counterpart at my club. Not opponents. We work together. Our goal is for the kids to get better.
100%.
And especially those coaches who are responsible for that kid moving up a team, or a kid who's struggling but stays on that team because of the work that you did with them, super rewarding. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So those are our favorite parts about tryouts. Nate, do you have any least favorite parts about tryouts?
I do. My least favorite part is probably the lack of opportunity for these kids. You guys only get to look at them for 180, 240 minutes. It's 2 2-hour tryouts or 2 90-minute tryouts, or sometimes even less than that if the weather doesn't cooperate and stuff like that. So I got to imagine from your side, it's really hard to assess kids with that limited amount of time. And then for the kids, it's got to, one bad pass that gets marked, and it's tough to get back from that. And then, as a parent too, you kind of stress because you're thinking, hey, he or she's got to be great for 2 hours because this is it. Especially if you're, trying out at a different place, or,
absolutely.
You move cities or something like that.
For sure.
Yeah, and at our tryouts, we try to just tell the kids, hey, relax. We want to see you play. This is not a test. It is a test, but, you play your best when you're relaxed, I think, and not when it's all this pressure on you. So I think that definitely that pressure on the players is one thing that I've seen kids break down, go into tears. They play scared. I'm like, I know this kid. She shouldn't be playing scared, but they're playing scared because there's all this pressure on them to make that team or to stay on that team or whatever it is. Arguments with parents afterwards. We do tryouts for a reason. And an email and a phone call is not going to change that, but we get them anyway, as you guys know. That's one of the worst parts is, we believe in your kid for an entire year. We still believe in them, even though they're on the second team or whatever it is. And then Charlie's the bad guy, right? And then one of my least favorite ones, players getting separated from friends. Super awful. I wish we didn't have to do this. And there's things we can do as a club where players play and intermix throughout the year. So you can still see your friends, maybe guest playing, but just saying, oh, Nate's on this team, Matt's on this team, and I know these guys are best buds. Maybe you guys will be at the end of this episode.
It's a plan.
You guys on the same team.
Yeah.
That's right.
And one of the last ones for me is just telling players who have a great attitude, no. Sometimes as leaders in a club, you have to say no. Leadership is easy when you say yes, right? Everyone can say yes, but sometimes you have to say no, especially to that kid who you know is working hard but just didn't quite get there. Heartbreaking for me, but comes with the territory, right?
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. I think as a director, as a coach, like just the stress that goes into it, because you feel the kid's stress, you feel the parent stress, you have your own stress. It's like, are we going to do this right? Are we considering all these different things? How do we compare and contrast? And I think, like you said too, I think the worst part is like it's knowing and seeing kids who have worked super hard and still just have not achieved that goal, or it feels like they haven't accomplished that. And I think for anybody who does this job and does it well, like you care a lot about these kids. Like you invest a good part of yourself and you want to see them be successful. But like you said, part of the leadership, part of the discussion is also like you have to say no and you have to be honest, because if you're just saying yes to everything, and like it defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do, and it is really hard. So it's not fun, but at the same time, like there are rewarding things that come from it too.
Yeah, and really our goal with tryouts is put kids on appropriate level teams so they can play appropriate level competition.
Yep.
Right? If it was my choice, I would have everyone in a pool and everyone makes the top team, right? That would be awesome. But
it's called competitive for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's competitive, and there's different levels of competitive, and that's what we're doing at tryouts, right? And doesn't mean that we hate the kid. Obviously not. I think we, as coaches, as youth coaches, believe in every kid, right? And we want to see them do well. And it's heartbreaking, right? When it's like, maybe just one more year, but that kid hears no.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, just give it time.
Yep.
One step backward to go 2 steps forward.
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
Yeah, that's part of it.
For sure.
Nate, do you have any questions for Matt or myself about tryouts?
Yeah, so, well, let's start from the very beginning. Like, is there certain criteria you guys look for to say, like, 7v7, so U9, U10, 9v9, so U11, U12, and then obviously 11v11 from U13 on? Do you have, like, specific traits you want to see your skills?
Yeah, I think when we do our 7v7 and 9v9s, there's some subtle differences. Like when I'm thinking about 9s or 8s and 10s, 8s, 9s, and 10s, you're kind of looking at just technical, like how you working in small spaces, your first touch, and being execute some of those things because you have less space, you have less time, and so you're not getting super high tactical. You might look at decisions a little bit, but you're really just looking at the overall technical efficiency and consistency at those ages.
And I had a question from a parent just this week at USA Cup, worrying about tryouts, as we all do, right? And he was like, well, how much do you compare technical versus tactical at 7v7? I'm like, well, think about it like this. 1v1, my only option is to dribble or shoot. At 2v1, probably I'm dribbling or shooting still, right? Maybe I do a combination, but and the higher you go, and I just did Rush Fest, their first ever experience, these U12 players playing U13 or 11v11 right before tryouts, and they still want to dribble. I'm like, there's 22 people on the field. You are right back. You are not going to dribble past 11 guys and get up here, because by the time you do that, everyone's caught up to you. Whereas 1v1, I think as you go higher in the numbers, there's less of that dribbling, there's less of the technique. Yes, you still need it for your time on the ball, but it's more about how you use that space.
Correct.
Can I scan? Can I get into good space? Can I plan ahead? So different types of skills at those ages.
Yeah, and I think with the bigger space too, then you start to look at just overall decision making too, and like you said, with more time, like you'll be able to do more hypothetically, but that's not necessarily the right thing in terms of more touches. A lot of times, less touches is better. So then it's how are you identifying what the problem is and what are you doing to solve it? So it starts to go on 7v7, bigger field, to 9v9 and 11v11. Like it's that more time and space, so it starts to get a little bit more tactical. So I think that to me is a little bit of the difference between 7v7 smaller, a little bit more tactical, 9v9, a little bit of both, and then 11v11, more time, more space. How are you executing, thinking about things tactically?
Because I would say, to use this as an example, but I've seen like 11v11, a player in 11v11 who might be on a second team, and you see their skills, and you're like, my goodness, like they're absolutely fantastic. And then like the pass that isn't there, or a dribble into like the fourth defender, and you're like, maybe I get it now. Like the game has changed, and so
for sure.
I think part of this is the parents' perspective, or just anyone who's kind of newer to soccer, because they see what we call the buzz players. They pop a little bit because maybe they're more developed right now, doesn't mean you're good at soccer. I think we talked about this in episode 2, right? Where it's like, yeah, this kid's super fast, uses his dribble skills, but
the half field
poor decision making. Maybe dribbles into the fourth guy, and that's too many. Maybe shoots from half, but maybe now we're on a bigger field and that's less effective now, and we have to find other ways of exploiting the space or getting past the opponent. So I think that's part of this is the different perspectives of, I think you definitely see what these kids can turn into, and maybe you see the potential, and maybe their soccer IQ right now at these younger ages, that's going to turn into something good. But then other people might see those buzz players that pop at tryouts. And they pop because they do a big kick or they dribble fast and take a huge touch and take that space. Especially when you go from 7s to 9s or 9s to 11s, there's that huge space there.
Yeah.
So those skills, those techniques might show up more, but it doesn't mean that's a great soccer player, right?
What do you guys believe is like the main purpose of tryouts? And so let me lean into that a little bit more. Like, do you value creating teams like this is the best player, this is the 15th best player, let's put them on team 1, here's 16, here's 30, put them on team 2? Do you go into it like, I want 6 forwards, 5 mids, 5 defenders, and 2 goalies, and we're going to take the best 6, the best 5, etc.? Or do you just say, hey, we're going to feel it and then create teams that way? Is there some sort of specific criteria you use to...
I want to hear more. Say more about feeling it. What do you mean by that?
You know, just like you do your 4v4 drills and a kid, you know, instead of attacking all the time, pulls it back and opens it up and sees like a 3v1 and uses that. Or, you know, just like, whoa, that was special. And then maybe he's gone, you know, for the rest of the time. But like you felt like in that moment, that player did something that, hey, that's potential for like a top team move. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
That
sense.
spark, right?
Yeah. It's a good way to put it. Is there like a main purpose that you guys use at tryouts to create teams? Or
I think at a certain point you have to go by the tryout scores. My club also uses data points that we get through the coaches mid-year, or coaches and directors, where it's like, okay, we take a snapshot in the fall season, take a snapshot in the winter, and we take one at the end of the year. And it's like, well, how has this player progressed? Is there any concerns along the way? Maybe they don't show up in the winter because they play a different sport, which we love multi-sport athletes, but it has an effect on your soccer development, right? So those comments from the coaches, that things that they see every single week, really help us with tryout placement. So it's not just a number. I think that's what you're saying with the 1 through 15, where it's just the number, and it's like, all right, you guys are on that team. You guys on that team. Where I think that extra information, those extra data points can help a lot, because I'm a director. I don't get to see every kid every week. The coaches are, so it's really helpful to hear that. So we take multiple things into consideration.
Yeah, and I think for us, it's similar. I think you try to zoom out and have a 10,000 foot view where it's like you're even, you know, like you talked about, you're only seeing these kids in a certain context in that moment. And I think the purpose of tryouts for us is we have a pretty good idea of our players internally and where they're at and kind of just where they're trending developmentally, which is awesome. But then you're also comparing them to players who are coming from outside the club, and like that's the tough part where you only have a couple hours to kind of watch and evaluate. And so some of those things that you're looking for in the criteria. In terms of like, you know, how at least we think about it is we talked about like just the competitive environment in general. Like we have to tier it and say, yep, this is our top, this is our second. I think what gets part of where all the stress comes from is that then it feels like we're assigning each player a value. If you are on this team, you are worth this. If you are on this team, you are worth this. But I think the important message to that is like if we're being consistent and we know that development is not linear, you're saying, hey, this is the right fit for you right now. And we also know that starts to change quite a bit. And if we're doing our jobs well, it should change. And I think then the piece is like, how do you adapt for that? And how do you give that opportunity? And so what I try to tell parents is, right now, what we're doing with tryouts is just we're hitting the pause button. We're saying this is where we think kids are at right now, but we also know it's how this is going to change, and we're going to allow for that and give them opportunities with that too. And I think that helps a lot to take out the sting of like, I didn't make this team and this is how people value me. And it's like, no, like this is just right now in this moment, how we see you. And like you asked earlier, how do you compare a kid who's physically gifted versus technically smart or technically gifted and tactically smart? It's like, how do you really evaluate those things? And it's not easy. And it is imperfect in tryouts, even if you have all the data, even if you've watched all these kids, like, and because it is constantly changing. And I have to remind myself of this, or my parents of this, that where a kid is at right now in July is going to be different in August, in September, and October, and that's okay. And I think that's hopefully the invitation after tryouts for parents and players is like, you can make yourself better, right? This is not we're unlocking and this is now you're going to make the U.S. national team, and it's also not a death sentence because you're on this team.
I was going to say, it's not a life sentence, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I'm on the third team out of 3, my career's over. Right?
100%.
Like we talked about the player who has maybe B skills right now, but an A mindset where they're going to go to work.
Absolutely.
That player's going to catch up.
It's huge.
Right?
Yep.
If you have the right attitude.
Correct.
If you have the attitude of, oh, Matt hates me, I'm on this team forever, I'm going to get behind and stuff like that, that's how you stay on that team.
Correct.
But if you have a good attitude, there's always that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Is there anything the players can do before tryouts, or to stand out? So like maybe as they approach, shaking hands with their friends or coming in, getting a ball out and saying, "Hey, let's rondo." Like, does any of that stuff stand out to you guys, or do you notice that?
You said it actually really well earlier. You were talking about this with just as you go into you are going to be more successful when you have fun and you're enjoying it. And I think my best advice for players, for parents is look at this as like you're just going to go play. That's it, right? It you said it is a test and it's an evaluation, but again, it's not we're defining you, and that's I think really important. So one of the things that I tell our players, from our 8-year-olds to our 12-year-olds, is like, hey, is anybody nervous? Raise your hand, and everybody's, and then I'll always raise my hand and say, I'm nervous. I hope I don't get it wrong, kind of thing. but it's just like, hey, and then I'll also say, you know what, look. Is anybody here going to make mistakes today? And keep your hand up. And they're like, yeah, right.
I'm going to make one on this podcast.
Absolutely. You've already done it 5 times. So I think that piece of where you kind of give everybody permission, where it's like, you're not going to be perfect. And that's okay. And kind of giving them permission where it's like, just go play, have fun, be confident. And it's way easier said than done. But if you approach it with that rather than, oh my gosh, I hope they don't see that, like, you will be so much better for it. And you are going to make mistakes. And that's okay. So.
Yeah. Like one thing that actually at Rush Fest, we had a classroom session, and it was about just your mentality. If you see yourself having a negative thought, catch it, and then change it to something positive. Instead of, I might make a mistake. I'm here to compete, not to be perfect.
Correct.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm going to take that. I'm just going to take that and use that for all the kids forever, because that's every game, right?
Yep.
Just like tryouts, just like games, you're going to make mistakes. How do you respond to that? That's a huge part that I think is the unwritten stuff that coaches are looking at or evaluators are looking at, is not just what you do, but who are you as a person? How do you respond to these things? What's your attitude like? I think all that stuff goes into it where, we might assign a number or a team placement. Mm-hmm. Like you said, that's not your value though, and there's plenty more to a player than just what you do on the field.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so now that tryouts are done, what does the decision-making room look like? Is it the entire staff? Is it?
That's some hard questions. Okay.
Yeah, here they come.
And I'm curious too, because I would bet we probably have different answers. So I'm really curious to see how you guys do it.
I was going to say that every club is a little different. Mm-hmm. There was a family who came from California this past year and joined us in the fall, and he's like, after he joined our team and everything, he's like, it was kind of confusing. Why don't you guys do drills? I'm like, we have 1,000 kids to go through. I'm not going to set up little 1v1 grids.
So many cones.
Yeah. I'm like, I think the best way is just to see the kids play. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just about the structure of tryouts. And I don't know if you guys do the same thing or different. We just want to see the kids play. Like Nate said, if we have 2.5 hours to see 180 kids in an age group, I want to see you playing the game.
No, you can't do drills.
Play the game.
Yeah.
So is that what you guys do?
Yeah, it is. From a structure standpoint, we just did 2 days of tryouts. We started with all of our, where there was U8 to U12, we started with 4v4, and it was a little bit smaller space to just see, how do you react? And again, that technical piece a little bit. And then for each age group, we expanded it to 7v7 or 9v9 to see what they'll actually kind of do on that regular size field, because what you find in the 4v4s is you'll get the kids who are technical and things like that. But then once you get into that bigger space, you see, all right, again, decision making, there's obviously athleticism that plays into it. And so I think at the end of the day, though, it's exactly what you guys do, which is like, I want to see you play. I want to see you make decisions. I want to see when you make those mistakes, like, how do you respond? Like, even, are you a good teammate? Are you making kids around you better? Or are you, blaming or things like that? And it's little things, but it also speaks to the mentality piece where, if you are there to make people better, you're an asset to the team. Like that's huge. Even if you can't run as fast, even if you can't, dribble as quickly, whatever, like if you are making the team better, yeah, that's absolutely a check in the positive direction. So
one of my coaching mentors told me, great players make other players great. I was like,
it's perfect.
That's how you do it.
Can't say it better.
Yeah.
You think of let's say like Xavi from Barcelona, great communicator, right? It wasn't just what he did on the ball and the space that he used and obviously scanning and all the trickery and everything, but he's a leader on his team. So it's that kind of unwritten stuff or that other stuff you look for, your personality.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm curious for you guys, when you guys do your tryouts and you guys are kind of forming teams, how does that process look like for you?
So we have our tryout score. We also have our data from the coaches and the directors throughout the year. And normally we go mainly through the tryout score because that's what tryouts are for. Right? It's not like we're just going to take whatever we did last year and be like, all right, run it. If we have any questions, we'll go to tryout scores. That's what tryouts are for. Like I said, it's a fresh chance where maybe these kids who felt like they got overlooked last year, like you said, pause button. I really like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, I'm not saying you are this forever, but
It's
right
a stage
now at this
too,
point,
right?
Absolutely.
It's a chance to shine.
Yeah. So it's using that data with the tryout scores, and then it's a discussion. I think is what you're getting at is, we sit in a room and
how
we're
do you
like,
decide, 14, 15, and 16, or, instead of 7, like 9, 10, and 11, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's like, okay, we have, let's say a top team, we have these 10 players, and then these 5 are question marks. And the discussion is about those players, we call them bubble players, right? On the bubble between the two teams. That's where the really big discussion happens, where it's like, we agree on these 10.
Yeah.
These 5, let's talk about it. And I think one thing that parents kind of maybe take wrong is that they think we don't care. It's like, no, we have hours and hours of conversations being like, is this the right choice? This matters for an entire year, maybe even past that.
Yeah.
This is important, and we can't just go like, oh well, we're not certain about this. Let's just run it. It's like, no, let's talk about it. Let's make sure we all agree on something, or at least most of us in the room feel very good about it. Yeah. And then we can send the teams out. So I think there's that level of care that a lot of people don't really understand, or maybe don't expect. But it's like, no, we spend a lot of time in that war room or whatever you called it, talking about these things because it matters.
Yeah, yeah. That's similar to what we do too. Is we have our war room kind of in like you said, we have pre-tryout meetings too, where we talk about kind of like where kids are at, where are they fitting in, and it's just a starting point. And we have coach rankings, and even that is, subjective. And that's an interesting thing too, is as you probably know, as you get into these discussions, like coaches can see players very differently, right? Yes. Like how they evaluate it. And you're like, are we watching the same kid right now? And I think that's why if you're doing it correctly, that collaboration is really important, from DOCs to coaches to independent evaluators. Like you're trying to just get all of this data to identify like what are some patterns that are emerging, like what are the strengths of this players, what are some areas of improvement, and then how do you kind of go against that. And it's not easy. It is really, really hard, and I think we would all really like for tryouts to be a science rather than art. Unfortunately, it is more of an art than it is a science, although you try to use some scientific tools to help with that. And that's the hard part, is like we fully admit like we're not perfect. We're going to get it wrong, and we've underestimated kids. We've overestimated kids. That's just part of it. But I think to your point though, like if you're doing it right, and I think most of us are, like you really care. Like you put in a lot of time and effort into it. I know last night for us, like I'm sitting there at I think it was 12:30 at night in the morning, and we've got 10 coaches that are talking about like these players and these teams, and like it was 40 kids, but then you get down to like 10 and 5 and 3. And so like, that's, like you said, that's really where your discussions come in. It's like, man, why is this person more deserving, or why is this person less deserving? And the answer is like, neither, but if you have 14 spots and you've got 16 players, you have to make that choice. Yeah. And then it also gets harder too, because for how we do it for 9s and 10s and in our U8s too, is like, not really looking at the positional component. It's much more, just kind of where your overall level is, how you're affecting the game. But when you start to get into U11 and U12, and for like last night we were working on our pre-ECNL girls, which is really, really competitive. Like now you're starting to look at game model a little bit. You're starting to look at like what is the coach looking for and some nuance of like, I want this outside back to be able to drive forward and do this, right? And that doesn't mean that like they're only ever going to be an outside back and do those things. But it is now we're starting to get into kind of more of the weeds of like the nuances and how do you even separate that? And so there's so much information you are trying to process and look through and consider, and it's hard. It's really hard is what I want parents to know.
Yep.
We're trying. I promise you we are trying.
Yeah. And I was just talking with a coach who's also a dad, whose daughter is now playing college. She played center mid for a lot of her youth career, moved back to center back her last couple of years. Now she's playing in college, wasn't getting a lot of minutes. Now she's right back and is kind of struggling with that. Mm-hmm. How much do you guys, or maybe not even just your club, but you personally, how much do you value maybe taking the best 15 players versus, I need a right back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for us, context is really important, right? Like if we're talking pre-ECNL girls, like you probably start with the 15 best players. And I would quantify best as like, can you understand and can you execute, right? Like that's the biggest thing is if we're going to ask higher level tactical things, you got to be able to understand it and then you got to be able to perform, right? And then you can start to get into some of those things. For Minneapolis City, we can get really specific and say, this is what we want from this player. And that's a really interesting thing too with the city piece, and what people don't realize is as you get it to higher levels, high school, college, whatnot, like sometimes you can be a really good player. You just may not fit the system or style that the coach wants. And it has nothing to do with you. It just has everything to do with the environment. And I heard this coach say this, where he used this bottle of water analogy. He said, if you buy a bottle of water at Costco in their vending machine, it's 25 cents. If you go and you buy it at like a pool concession stand, it's a couple dollars. If you go to a Twins game, it's $7. If you go on an airplane, it's $15. So
if you're in the desert,
yeah,
you pay whatever
you pay, right? So it's all about context, and so your value isn't defined by it. A lot of it can feel like it's just defined by this is where I am, but really it's that context, and I think that's really important too. Where hey, just because it feels bad or we say no, like that doesn't mean that you are less than. Like you are. It's the context of where you're at too. So I think that's a really important thing that people just feel like, oh, they don't like me and I'm terrible. It's like no. Like this is some specific stuff we're looking for too.
Yeah, doesn't mean you're a bad player. It's just maybe the coach or the club has this kind of thing that we're looking for. And if you don't have that thing as much as this player does, it doesn't mean you're bad.
100%.
Right.
And that sort of actually does lead into my next question. I'd like to know, do evaluators consider like current form and ability versus potential? Like is one higher than the other? Or, kind of like you said, like, oh, I need a right back and none of these people can do it, but maybe that person can. And so we're going to take them on this team. Like, does that ever come into play at all?
Yeah, I think we certainly do. And I think like I talked about, we look for trends, we look for patterns, and just where players are evolving into for sure. And so I think obviously it depends on the situation, but even if somebody isn't executing consistently, but the ideas are really good, it's like, all right, like we can work on that. Like let's take a little bit of a flyer, like we can coach that. And hopefully like as coaches, like that's where we do make our bread and butter is being able to say, I think I can help with that. I think I can make that player better. So yeah, there's definitely considerations from our point.
Yeah, I think I think there's maybe a time factor with it, right? Especially with youth soccer, you have that 1 year or 11 months, and then we have tryout season. Woo! Maybe it's like, okay, I could get that player here in 11 months, or if they're on the second team,
right,
maybe they can get there a little bit faster or better, and that coach can help them rather than them struggling for 11 months. Where if it's, hey, I can get this player here in maybe 2 months, I just teach them how to snap their knee and kick the ball better.
Yep.
They got the ideas. They just need the execution. Maybe there's a time factor to it where it's like, can I do this quickly? Mm-hmm. Can we as a club do this quickly and get this player up to speed? Or is it going to take a year where, okay, maybe you're on the second team. And that's where it goes to, this is not a life sentence. We do care. If you're on the second team, it doesn't mean you're bad. It's like, that might be the best place for you to be.
100%.
For you to get your confidence, to be a better leader. Those are the cliches you hear, but also maybe I have more time on the ball so I can look up. Maybe I have a little bit more space so I can dribble a little bit more because I'm not super confident on the ball. I can't play at that top level yet. Right? I think yet is a super important word. I can't do it yet. Maybe in a couple months I can. Or maybe it does take a year. I can cook on the second team. Someone's cooking upstairs. So maybe there's that time factor to it too, where that potential, it's not just potential versus right now and form and ability, but maybe it's a little bit of both. So that magic combination, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any recommendations on how families or players should handle things if, the kid doesn't make the team that they had expected? Maybe they come over from a different club and they're like, I'm going to make your top team. And then you place them on team 2. Is there ways you think they can handle that placement? And...
I can tell you what not to do.
Yeah.
You go first, though.
Well, I think how to handle it is realizing it's not a life sentence, right? And being like, okay, I'm on this team. I think it's super helpful hearing from you. I don't think you're bad. I don't hate you.
Yep.
You're on this team, and it's for a reason, right? And I think people have to understand, parents and players have to understand, and sometimes coaches too, I wanted that player on my team. Well, we as a club think this is the best spot for right now, that pause button. I think it's just way healthier to look at it as, hey, I'm on this team. I can be the man now, right? It's not just me. I have the status of the top team, and I struggle and have a bad year. And I don't get the ball a lot. I struggle. I lose it every time I get it. It's not all about that status of the team, where I think they look at the number. And I see kids, like, their Instagram page. Like, I don't follow too many kids, but it says, like, Nate Confer, NPL. It's like, that's literally the second line on their Instagram page. And they take that status very seriously, where I think we just have to get away from taking that status so seriously, where that's me, right? I am MPL Charlie. It's, I'm on this team for a year. I'm going to cook. I'm going to do things for a year. And like, I do private training. I don't take new clients in July because there's no easy fix, right? You're going to have to work for a year. And after that, you're going to have to work for another year and another year. And that's building that up. And I think parents can have a really good impact on that. Whereas instead of arguing and calling Matt and be like, Matt, I disagree with this. I'm going to call you for an hour. We're going to meet. I'm going to yell at you. That's never happened, right?
Never happened.
Instead of
not
doing
20
that,
times a day.
Like there's a parent last year, we're buds. He was upset with his daughter's placement. He said, hey, I really feel like this is a misplacement. And I kind of did too at the time. He looked at my Instagram stories because I give Tryout advice on Instagram for free. And he's like, and before I could even respond to his message, he looked at my page and he's like, oh, I was being that guy. Sorry. I'll trust the process. Guess what happened in 2 months? His daughter's on my team now. And it's not because I did him a favor. It's because numbers. It's just the numbers game. It's like, you were the 10th one.
Yeah.
We had 9 to start.
Yep.
We have enough room now. Now you're number 10. You're on the team. Now she's, I'm not going to give a number, but she's not 10th.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's
it's because of that attitude and the work. And he's like, you know what? He even said after that, he's like, we're going to work. I'm like, as you should. Great. And it pays off. So I think that's the healthy way of doing that, is not going like, well, I need to send an email and fix this. It's, no, I'm going to help my daughter get better. We're going to do training. I'm going to go in the backyard with her. We're going to work on this stuff.
Yeah. No, that's really well said. And I think the goal for all of us should be like this. These are conversations, right? Like that's really what this is. This is not, when you understand the human piece of it and you take the assigned value out of it, and like you said, are you chasing clout or are you chasing development? And if we're here for development, like those conversations, those conversations need to happen. And I think like the advice I give to parents is, number one, understand that like hopefully like you have people, coaches, directors who care a lot. Like they genuinely do, and you can tell if they care a lot if they're willing to have the conversations and they're giving advice on their Instagram page of like, hey, here's how you can navigate this. Because I think like when you establish that connection, you establish trust, and it really is like, if you're going to trust the process, that you have to have that. And if you trust somebody, great. If you don't, hey, that's not a good fit for sure. But I think that's the best advice I would give to parents. And I think it's really important too, because what parents sometimes understand but sometimes don't is like your kids are watching. Like how you handle this, how you start to externalize this is how they are going to internalize it. So if they're hearing you saying, this isn't fair, and oh my gosh, they're like, these coaches can't figure it out, like they're going to hear that. And now, unfortunately, like now you're setting up for a negative mentality. And it is that mentality that drives everything in terms of, like, for the player, it's like you said, hey, I can be frustrated and disagree. And, well, you have two options. You can either choose to pout and be frustrated and whatever, or you can choose to work. And if I can just tell you from my experience at all these different levels, including Minneapolis City, if the response is, I want to work, whatever the motivation is to prove them wrong, to get better, whatever, like, that's actually where you get better. And that's a massive thing. And I think, like, you didn't ask this, but I'm gonna give some unsolicited advice to coaches and directors. And this is very real because this has been my reality for the last 24 hours with post tryouts. I think the advice that I would give to coaches and directors is, as you are having these conversations, what you need to understand is this is really emotional for parents, and you have to understand why. So if you understand that for parents, this is their most prized possession, like their child is their most prized possession. Soccer, for a lot of them, that is their most important thing. That is their passion.
It's their prized possession's most prized possession.
Exactly. It is the prized possession of the prized possession, so it is incrementally doubled, right? And, you have these conversations, and I've had a lot of them today, so it's very, very real for me. You start to understand, like, as a parent, you're like, yeah, this matters. And when it doesn't make sense and they don't have all the context and they're not seeing it the same way, I can understand the frustration, the sadness, the heartbreak. And as a parent, it's harder for the parents, I think, because they have their own emotions that they're navigating, but they're also trying to navigate this well with their kid, like the good parents at least, and most of them are good parents.
I think they all do it through good faith. Right?
And that's what you have to understand is, like, it's coming from a place of really deep care. And if you understand that, and then for parents reciprocally, if it is a conversation and we're willing to have it and reach a point of understanding, that's where this gets really healthy, and we can get back on track with, like, how do we help this kid be successful versus just the simple, it's whatever, and I'm going to go here, and, things like that. And so I think there's a mutual understanding that has to happen in this. And when we allot for, mutual respect and trying to do that changes everything. And ultimately, it's not about me. It's not about the parent. It's about the player. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the whole reason we're here. So we as adults have to navigate that well.
You've probably had it before, guaranteed, I'm sure, where the parent sees his kid or whoever as the best kid. And you're like, well, he's not.
They're not.
So how do you bridge that gap? Because they're way over here, you're way over here, and maybe you plus 12 evaluators all agree on one thing, but they're on the other side. And like I said, they care. They look at their kid and they're like, this is the best thing in the world. Mm-hmm. Because to them it is.
Yes.
How do you bridge that gap, and how does that conversation happen? How do you bring them, maybe not all the way to your side, but in the middle where we can agree, you're on this team for this year, let's work hard. How do you make that happen?
Yep. Yeah, I always try to start with just asking questions. And it's the Ted Lasso, be curious, right? Mm-hmm. Like, genuinely be curious. Tell me more. Like, why do you think that? Why do you think your kid is great? And if that starting point is just them telling you, then it leads to, you can give some input and say, cool, yeah, I think that, but also this is where they can improve, right? And you're never like, this is hard, where if somebody sees themselves as a 10 on a 1 to 10 scale, but they're actually 4, like, you're probably never going to be able to meet in the middle somewhere. But if they think they're a 7 and they're actually a 5, in your opinion, like, you can probably get to a 6. And so I don't think you're ever going to necessarily change people's perception, but I think you can start to ask questions, have those conversations, and it will allow you as the coach or director or whoever or other parent to say, have you thought about it this way? Because here's some of the things that we're looking at, and just where can you improve, right? And so again, if it's conversation based rather than a subjective debate, you're probably going to be a lot more productive.
Yeah. If you make it subjective, it's like, well, you're going to believe what you believe. I believe what I believe.
Yep.
We're at an impasse. I'm the soccer guy, though. So.
right. I don't tell you, the dentist, how to clean teeth. So.
Right. But me, I don't have kids. I don't tell parents how to coach or how to parent.
Yeah.
I really don't like when they tell me how to coach, and I think that's kind of the deal that I try to make.
Right. 100%.
And right. I had a question for you about how youth maybe is different than adult tryouts, like from MTA or any youth club you've been with. I know you coached college before too, right? Mm-hmm. And now Minneapolis City, and how are those different? Like,
Yeah, it's a good question. I think from the evaluation, there are some very, very similar principles. Like whether it's the Minneapolis City, whether it's 9-year-olds, like you're looking at, again, technical consistency, speed of play, things like that. And obviously how a 24-year-old plays in college is very different than a 9-year-old, but you're still looking for kind of those patterns. You're thinking about how are you thinking about the game, things like that. Obviously, as you get older, you're looking at more nuanced, tactical, things like that. I think the tryout process it is pretty different, though, in the sense of, like, from a director's eye point, like you're creating teams and you're building these rosters versus, like, for Minneapolis City or college or high school, like you probably have a pretty good idea of who that team is, and so you're only looking for a couple
Pieces,
spots.
right?
Yeah. Versus for youth, you're really trying to get everybody you can in the right place. So it's a little bit different lens, and I think like we talked about earlier, when you have just such a high volume of players at the youth level, it's harder to kind of like dig in and really start to like debate and look at some of these things. But for city, it's a lot easier because you have like a template of like, this is what we're looking for. This is a specific position we want, and so you can really get into the nitty gritty of like, how is player A doing, how is player B doing, how is player C compare. So there's definitely a lot of similarities, but I think like just the context and environment starts to make them very different as you get into it.
And when you're at those Minneapolis City tryouts, would you tell a player like, hey, we're looking for this from our number 2, I want you to get up the field, do some overlaps at this moment?
Yeah.
Do you give that
game
kind of
application
advice?
maybe?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good question. I think it depends on the kind of tryout. Like if it's an open door tryout, I won't say anything. We won't give very much instruction because what we tell players is like, play within who you are. Like show us that. Like what are the best attributes of you? And that might be what we're looking for, and it might not be. Like that's okay. But I think if we are getting into kind of more like really solidifying team selections, and we're doing like an invite only combine, something like that, like you may say to somebody like that, hey, I want to see specifically like this is what we're looking for, show us that, so at least that they can be like, all right, here's what I can do. So yeah, it depends on the context, but absolutely we do.
And something I tell the youth players before the tryouts is, like you said, if you're nervous, that's fine, everyone's nervous, maybe that's excitement and you're misinterpreting that, but also I want to see who you are. Right, I don't want to see, like, literally, I can see the players change. Like, there's a player last tryout who just starts throwing bows at people. I'm like, what did your dad tell you? And she's like, told me to, like, be physical and hit people. I'm like, no, hit people? You never hit people all last year. What are you doing now?
Right.
Only did at tryouts, where I see some players do 5 scissors and then try to shoot from distance. I'm like,
You don't do that in the game.
you're good at the other stuff, though.
Yeah.
Like, why are you trying to
Show us that.
do that stuff? Like, we're soccer people. Mm-hmm. We understand if you're a passer and you're maybe not a goal scorer, golazo banger kind of guy, we'll see that though. So just play you, like play your game, is what I tell the players, and I think that's how you have to do it, right? 100%. Don't try to be something you're not, because if you're that, image for 2.5 hours, I'm going to have you for a year, though. Are you going to pretend for a year? No, I want to see who you are.
Show us your superpower. What are you good at?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, finishing on a light note, guys. What's the funniest or most unexpected thing you've ever seen at a youth soccer tryout?
Mine's not unexpected, but it is funny. Parents wanting to joystick during tryouts. Oh. Your kid is trying out. You are not trying out. It's not a tandem thing. We want to see your kid trying out. Don't give advice. Don't coach them. Don't joystick. And that's funny in itself. But then when we have a fence around our tryouts, and parents will go right up to the fence, even though we send an email before being like, give them space. We want them to be comfortable. And it gets to the point where I come over to the fence. I'm like, hey, Nate, I want to see your kid play. Just please give them space. You're making the other kids uncomfortable. Maybe, I don't know these kids. I don't know all of them. We got some new players. Maybe you're making them uncomfortable. They're already nervous.
Yep. Please
give space. And then Nate finds a different part of the fence and goes around. And I'm like,
come on.
I'm like, I watched you walk over there. I just talked to you. And recently I walked over to a parent. He started walking away and went like, oh,
I wasn't watching. I was just
5 minutes later, he's back at the fence telling his kid how to play goalie, and the ball's on the other side of the field. And I walk over to him, and he goes like that again.
Yeah.
I'm like, just go.
I found if you can find a spare ball and just send like a warning shot in that direction, that's really effective. Like, just to get the
There
hit,
you go.
especially if you're accurate.
So I send a warning shot.
Yeah, you send the soccer ball, just a soccer ball laying there, right?
Head height, no spin.
Right. You're just like, hey. You're like, where'd that come from? And you're just like, I'm watching.
Accidental no spin strike I just did at your head. Goal's over there.
Yeah. I think the funniest one to me, we had a player last year who came in, and God bless him, he was 10 years old, and he comes in, and he's just, he kind of looks bummed out. And I was like, yeah, it's tryout season, right? What's going on? It's like, hey, man, like, how are you doing? You good? You nervous? He's like, I don't feel so good. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, and I'm thinking, like, it's nerves, right? Like, we're all nervous. Like, is it you just nervous? He's like, no. Like, what do you think it is? He's like, I don't know. It might have been my dinner. And I was like, yeah, like, what'd you eat? He's like, 5 hot dogs. I had the exact same reaction you just did, where I was like, I had to stifle a laugh and be like, yeah, that'll do it. Oh, buddy, we gotta talk to you about how to prepare for tryouts. So it was so unexpected, and I'm like, I've got mini Joey Chestnut right here, like in front of me. It's like, what? Like, everybody's nervous. That's what I'm expecting. No, it's just 5 hot dogs. Oh yeah, that tracks. So
Maybe get some carbs, some protein, some water,
all of it.
Sodium.
So,
I don't think it's one
a
of those.
lot of sodium. Did not cramp that day at all. No problem.
Nate, you as a soccer parent, have you witnessed anything crazy? Maybe in a group chat or like just with the other parents, or what's your favorite story?
For me, it's probably a parent who had like pre-decided that if their kid had made the top team, they were going to stay. Mm-hmm. But if their kid was going to make the second team, they already had like their backup club in mind, and nothing could turn their head, and they were going to be gone.
Yep.
I think that happens every year.
Yeah.
I think all those happen every year, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
All the time.
Maybe not specifically hot dogs, but...
No.
So, Charlie, do you have any advice that you'd like to give to families or players about the tryout process?
Yeah. One thing that parents come up to me and ask, like, what should my daughter do? Should she play with her friends or play on this slightly higher level team? I'm like, why are you asking me? Ask your daughter. Like, I'm not playing.
Yep.
I would love to have your daughter at my club, whichever one of those two it is for that person. But I think asking the players what they want, I think that's super important, where, there's other things to consider, like cost, travel, maybe for the player and the parent it's playing time, where maybe someone wants the status, the other one wants to play. And that could be either one of those parties. But I think putting that decision in the player's hands as much as possible, I don't think you can go wrong with that, right? And maybe the player makes a choice. Oh, well, I'm going to help you through it, and we can learn from that. So I think that's one, is just having the player just maybe not making the decision, but asking. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't see that asking happening a lot, where it's the parent saying, well, I want you to play on a high team. It's like, well, my friends are over here.
Right.
Like, I want to play with my friends.
Yeah, sometimes they play better when they're playing with their friends as opposed to playing on that top team.
Absolutely. I think going along with that, the grass is not always greener. We've heard that a billion times. Specifically with lateral moves. Like, if I'm moving from NPL to MPL and I have to travel an hour one way, even if you're joining my club, I don't like that. If it's a lateral move, if it's something that this club can't offer, but this club over here can, and it's a higher move, go for it. Like, if that's my club, that's the lower club, and you're moving to something that we can offer, I'm not going to be upset. No one at my club is going to be upset. Maybe we'll be upset that we don't get to work with you anymore. Don't get to see your family at our club anymore, but I'm not going to be upset because we helped you get there. Right? And that's the whole part. That's the whole point of this, is it's not about me. It's not about me and our club as a coach. It's about the kids. So I think that's one, is just, if you're going to switch clubs, make sure it's a higher move, not a lateral one, because then you get into things like, I'm traveling too much, and then that turns into maybe burnout, and that player plays less and they end up stop playing. So going along with that, don't burn bridges. Don't do it. Soccer world is big, but it's also very small.
It's very small.
Do not burn bridges. Don't dispute team placements. We do this whole tryout process. We care. We're in the war room for hours and hours until midnight, like Matt said. An email or a call is not going to change that. We can have a conversation and we can come to an understanding and have a plan going forward, but it's not going to change it. So don't call Matt saying, this phone call is going to make and break it. I have some information that they didn't know from tryouts.
You know who you are. You called me today and asked me straight up if I would change that answer. So don't do it.
Happens every year, every director. Instead, start getting to work. That's the only way forward, right? It's not an email or a call. It's, I need to start working right now for next year. Or maybe I get called up mid-year. Maybe I get some guests playing, right? Mm-hmm. Email or a call is not going to change that. Train all year, not just in the summer. There's no easy fixes or quick camps I can do. People ask me in July, they're like, hey, can you do 4 sessions? I'm like, what do you think we're going to do in 4 sessions? Really? And you think, I've broken this down. I really thought about this where I'm like, okay, a U15 player comes and asks me for 4 sessions. You've played about 150 hours every year for about 10 years.
Yep.
You think 4 hours is going to change that? Maybe the information you can use, but within that 4 hours, it's not going to happen. Right. And then one of the last ones, it's okay to be the best player on your team. You know, if you're the best player on your team, totally normal, totally, I think, a healthy reflex to look at what's the next thing I can do. But also, there's no problem. Hey, I'm the best player on my team right now. Maybe that's the second team. Maybe I'm the top of my club and the top player on that team. Yes, maybe look at that next level, but also you can be the best player. That's a really fun time.
Yeah.
Specific one for parents. It is the player's tryout, not yours. Don't coach your joystick. What it tells me...
Don't sit on the fence.
Don't climb the fence and jump over it. What it tells the evaluators is this person doesn't trust their player to make decisions. Mm-hmm. And what does that tell me as an evaluator? You don't even trust your own kid. How am I going to trust your kid? For players, I think entertain. Oh, actually, another one for parents. Take pressure off. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I see parents like, this is very important for you.
Remember to do
this,
and this.
Yeah. Be aggressive, win the ball. This is going to determine what you do for the next year. And that just puts more pressure from these kids who are already, especially at U9. I see so much U9, so many U9 players trying out their first tryout ever in organized sports. There's already pressure. There's kids I don't know. There's strangers. And the parent is then like, well, also think about these 50 things. It's not going to make them play well. For the players, let's say you have a great parent, takes the pressure off. Don't just do the standard stuff. Entertain. Mm-hmm. That's what I tell the players that try out sometimes. It's like, hey, I've watched a lot of soccer today. 2 days from now, after filming, or 3 days, USA Cup, everything's blending together. We're going to do 12 hours of tryouts. I want to be entertained. Everyone wants to be entertained. If we just see standard soccer, yes, do the things that you're supposed to do well, but then show us a little extra too, right? Also for the players, Minnesota United Academy coach told me this. He said the main thing that they look for, the first thing, is players who want to be on the ball. I was like, ooh, so you're not just looking at technique, you're not looking at how they use the space, but they want the ball. He's like, yeah, there's a kid who's in the space but is standing there, versus a kid who's like, yes, Nate, yeah. Gets the ball, turns, plays it, goes and joins that one and gets the ball back. I'm like, that's not just a player who wants to be on the ball. They're confident in their skills. Probably that means they're technical. Probably that means they understand what's going on. They're hungry. So want the ball as the player. You can do other things like communicate, organize, make friends when you get there. Don't complain. I think they say body language is loud. It's not silent.
Yep.
So if you have good body language and you're doing all those things, that sticks out sometimes more than your soccer skills. And last one for evaluators, come in with a fresh view of these players. Don't take your prior knowledge about these kids from the last year or years, or I remember this kid from 8 years ago. Yeah, she doesn't shoot. She probably changed.
Maybe.
So come in with a fresh look. Give every player an honest look, because that's why they're here. They care a lot. We shouldn't get a score in the first 10 minutes and be like, I'm good. Yep. Use as much time as you can. Give the best score that you can. Watch as many touches as you can. Watch off the ball. If you have any questions, maybe ask the other evaluators, what are you guys seeing? But give every player an honest, fresh look. That's what tryouts is for.
Yep. No, and I'll add to a couple things. I think your piece about when you're thinking about clubs, I think that's really important. Number one, to talk to the player and say, what's your input? And I think too, like ask the question of them, of yourselves, like what is what is your biggest priority? Like, what are you trying to get out of a club? Because every club is going to do things differently, and their philosophy might be a little bit different, right? And that's really important, I think, because if you're just chasing the clout, like we talked about, it may not be a good fit. In fact, most times it's probably not a good fit. And so it's really much more about like what's going to lend itself to your player's experience. And is that coaching? Is that environment? Is that, maybe it's showcases, maybe it's, playing at higher levels. Like ask those questions, because I think like for every player and family, it's going to be a little bit different, and that's okay. It should be. So I think knowing what it is that you are looking for ahead of time is really important. And then I think part of that process too is like, as you go into it, like ask those questions of the club, talk to the directors, talk to the coaches, get a sense as to what it is that they're prioritizing, because what they're prioritizing might not be what you prioritize. And again, that's okay. I think that's really important. And then, like you talked about for players, like it's just go into tryouts and be confident, have fun. Like that, you will be at your best when you are doing those things. And we'll see that. We'll see the mistakes. We'll see what you do after the mistakes. We'll see the really good things, that you're doing. And again, that's not what defines you. And yeah, I think just overall, like with evaluators too, like you said, like be as unbiased as possible. Watch players, evaluate, try to take in all information, take notes, be thorough, all those different things, and do it with a element of care, because as we talked about, like this matters so much to kids and families, and that your input is going to affect them. And so, don't just do it haphazardly. Don't just do it because you're getting paid or whatever it is. Like do it really thoroughly and do it well, because it matters a lot.
Nate, from the parents' perspective, any advice for the people out there?
Yeah, so all you U9 parents, I'm talking to you specifically. But there was a club director who I had talked to before the U9 tryouts for my oldest at the time, and he was like, just relax, it'll be fine, your kid's a smart player. And so at where Twin Cities Rush, it used to be Blaine Soccer Club, but where they play, there's a clubhouse. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it the way he says. And I went into the clubhouse, and I was dying. And I'm sure you guys are too. But I stayed in that clubhouse, and I let my kid play. And everything's worked out, and he's still playing 6 years later. So
It's huge.
That must be hard for you, right? To like, okay, for an hour and a half, I hope you do your best. I'll be in this building over here.
I peeked through the windows a few times. Who are we kidding?
I just saw a meme today. I was looking up some tryout memes, and it's like, when the evaluators say to stay away from the field, but you got the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And
I need to upgrade my phone.
Yeah, that was in the before times. But Matt, thanks for joining us. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Love to hear from
appreciate
you. Love to hear your perspective from not just the youth, but the adult. And I think you're an expert, so it's been great.
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate being on this. I love what you guys are doing, and I think the conversations are so important, because they don't happen in a system that's not very functionally good all the time. I think these are really important things. So I appreciate the opportunity to come on and just chat with you guys.
All right, Matt, where can people follow you somewhere?
You absolutely can, at your own risk. Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it. I tweet a lot of memes about City and just nonsense in Arsenal. So if that's your jam, awesome. Yep, exactly. I'm very sarcastic. So yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll say this too. I mean this for everybody. Like, if you have questions and you just want some different perspective, like reach out. Like, I'm happy to have the conversation, share input with you, because I think more than anything, like, for all of us, like, we just want to support kids and families as they go through the soccer journey, because like if they do it well and it's a great experience, then that's going to be success. So, and it's not easy to navigate. So, continue to ask questions, have conversations, and let's figure this thing out together.
Also, speaking of Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it, I remember this video. One of the first times I started following you, you asked your girls team at the time to. You know where I'm going.
I do.
How to pronounce your name. And one more time for the people. How do we say it?
Matt VanBenschoten.
There you go. Follow him. If you love the memes, if you love Arsenal Football Club, if you love City.
Up the Gunners.
The Crows, right?
That's right.
These guys right here. Thank you for the scarf. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see you on the field very soon.
Appreciate it.
Okay, professional soccer now. Oh, but first, great hearing from Matt. That was spectacular. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. That was fantastic. Good information.
Love hearing the
Parents, just players.
you can hear his expertise, you can hear his experience, you can hear the poise that he talks with. He's had these conversations before with parents. I feel a little bit more emboldened for our tryout process now after hearing that. Parents, players, coaches, evaluators, whoever you are, whoever's listening, great information. That's why you watch the podcast, right? Pro soccer seems like they're always being evaluated. The media, the fans, the media again, the coaches, themselves probably, their teammates. Sure. Everyone's watching. Nate, we have you're doing your own judging, right?
I am. We're going to talk about the best players in the profession.
You got all those people watching and judging. You also have Nate Confer watching too.
And I'm always watching. I see every game. I was telling Charlie earlier, I spend, in the early podcasts, I was spending 3-4 hours just watching highlight footage, to get these players of the week and goals of the week and stuff like that. And so I figured that's what we do today, kind of get back into the similar routine, but instead of player of the week and goal of the week, we're just going to do my predictions for the 2025-26 campaign. Top 5 leagues, naturally, Portuguese League, MLS, Saudi League. I'm sorry, guys.
Top 5. Number 5.
But you got to earn it. Ronaldo thinks you already have, and maybe you have, but... All right, so my player of the season for the EPL, actually quite difficult. You have Mo Salah, who probably won't drop off at all. Arsenal's bringing in a bunch of talent. A lot of guys that could have been considered.
So this is player for next season?
Next season.
Okay.
Not past season. We're looking to the future now, guys. Tottenham has a couple. Chelsea has a couple. City has a couple. For me...
Don't say Tottenham.
Sorry. Tottenham doesn't have any.
Thomas Frank. Good acquisition.
Manager of the year. This guy has been... Ever since his transfer, I kind of missed the boat on him. I thought he would be good, but I didn't think he'd be great. But I actually believe he can win EPL Player of the Year, and that's Cole Palmer for Chelsea. I mean, he's not a one-man show, but in that cup final against PSG, he really was. And I think it's going to carry on to the new season. And I think Chelsea can battle for a title this year.
I was going to say, a bunch of Americans found out who Cole Palmer was in the last week.
Give me that trophy.
I see all these like slow motion videos of him doing these skills. Maybe I'll put some up. We're not doing extra time. We listened to Matt instead. That was well worth it. But I'll put up some videos of Cole Palmer in America. He's cooking cold meals maybe, but
he's great. Won't go so far as to say Ballon d'Or, but yeah, of course. My League One player, this guy blew up onto the scene this year. Maybe he's PSG's best player by the end of it, but I'm going to say Vitinha, their center midfielder. He's also cooked in every game, pretty much from the time that they played Liverpool in the Champions League on. And
he's also taking those free kicks, or not the free kicks, the kickoffs for PSG.
Yeah, he ships them 60, 70 yards. Teams got to get the ball on the field quick, otherwise they got 3 forwards closing down on them.
Sometimes about 6 inches from the corner. So you imagine starting the game against PSG, you got Dembele going like this, ready to press you, and you're doing that from the very first 10 seconds, 6 inches from your corner flag. Although, Nate and I talked about this, teams have been adjusting to it, where now they take the corner or the throw in as quickly as they can so they don't get pressed.
Yeah, left back's back there. He gets the ball in before PSG can really do any damage.
Do you think we'll ever see teams start against PSG with their backs way back there, like in the corner waiting for it?
Just preparing. That would be fun.
It's like, it looks like they're playing a 2-4-2.
Guys, if any of you have, I don't know, BN Sport, I think is what Ligue 1 is on. Any of you watching, if you have BN Sport, let us know in the comments. Does PSG's opponents going to play with a left and a right back, right in line with the goalkeeper?
Yeah, we don't watch the French league. We watch the Swiss league a lot. Grasshopper, Basel.
My Bundesliga player of the year, I really kind of sat on this one for a little bit. There's Bayern Munich lost their best. I think he's their best player, Jamal Musiala, to a really serious leg injury.
And Wirtz is out. He's at Liverpool.
Yeah, Wirtz went to Liverpool. And so guys that I may have considered obviously gone, or not being able to play the full season in order to win this award. So I'm actually going to take a 33-year-old striker. All of you know who he is. Charlie Zubel, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm in the Bundesliga.
The guy who doesn't cheer for
Los
Harry
Gates.
Kane.
Auf geht's. Oh, Harry Kane.
Harry
okay.
Kane, yeah.
Maybe next year for me.
I'm sure he's going to bang in 30 for Bayern, and I don't think they're going to get caught. No team really. And if Šeško leaves Leipzig, who was kind of their star player last year, there's really going to be no team challenging Bayern for the title unless something crazy happens. And so
Not Mainz.
No, Mainz is... They're pushing in the right direction, but I think that's a side that they're looking top 5, not, final day Bundesliga champions. My Serie A player of the season prediction is, and this will get really interesting here in about a week if Inter signs their number 1 target, Adamula Lukman from Atalanta.
Friend of the podcast.
Yes, guy who's mentioned numerous times in season 1. But that would be a front 3 of Lautaro, Lukaku, and Lukman, which say that 5 times fast. The 3 L's. And so...
I don't know. We're new to cameras.
It could be really special. Of those 3, Lautaro's been great. He had a really good campaign last year. I think he can do it again, and so Lautaro will be my Serie A player of the year. Although Kevin De Bruyne did join the league with Napoli.
So did Scott McTominay.
Yeah, who won it last year. He was Serie A player of the year. So who sold him?
Was he actually?
He was, yeah. Or maybe Napoli player of the year. But either way, they won the title. And yeah, so Manchester United getting all their transfers correct.
And do you say La Liga too?
I haven't mentioned. I saved La Liga for last.
Okay.
Because this guy, just a little backstory. 3 years ago, didn't know who he was. 2 years ago, came onto the scene, kind of like here comes the next Messi. Yada yada yada. Same position. Same. Came through.
You knew who I was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I knew who this guy was 3 years ago. And then, since then, this guy's won the Euros. This guy's won La Liga. He's the best player in the team, and he just turned 18. He had a big, huge party. Fabrizio Romano talked about it. I'm not going to get into that, guys, but you know who it is. Lamine Yamal, who I actually think could win Ballon d'Or at the age of 18. So, exciting things for him.
Yeah, was he second? Well, we don't know yet this year, right?
We don't know. They know. I think it's been decided, but it hasn't been announced.
Yeah, and you're saying Dembele still?
I like Dembele for it this year. Yeah, just that from January to the Champions League final. 38 goal contributions, whatever it was insane for a Barcelona castaway. So, all right, my next category instead of dud or flop of the week, I'm going to talk about my top 5 busts for the 2025 season. Every league's going to have one. The team that maybe promotes and then they think they're going to finish just outside the top half, and then they go straight back down. We're talking about you, Southampton.
Man United.
No.
Oh, okay.
We're not going there. Or, that player, that huge signing, 150 million. We're looking at you, Florian Wirtz, and then things just Florian Wirtz is going to be fine.
A lot of money.
Yep.
Would you say it's a flop if his performances are only worth 100? Would you say it's a flop? $55 million extra dollars he doesn't deliver?
If Liverpool don't finish top 3, we might have to revisit the Florian Wirtz transfer.
Hey, we talked about pressure for youth players.
Imagine that.
$155 million, and then they pay you your salary, and then they give you food, and then they also pay for your housing and a host of other things. Yep. No pressure, Florian.
Right.
Flo?
Flo Wirtz. Let's go. You're gonna have to bring a trophy. Well, needless to say, Liverpool is not anywhere near my busts for next year. The team that actually won the championship, Leeds United, who were high flying the entire year, I actually have you going straight back down into the championship. 1, I don't like you. 2, you haven't really signed anybody. But it's the flower rivalry, War of the Roses, or whatever they call it. Manchester United and Leeds. So.
Isn't that the radio show where they send the roses to the people and they're like,
they took that from England.
I'm going to send it to Becky. Who's Becky? Look it up.
Game over. Yeah. Thursday mornings, KDWB. Shout out, guys. Leeds, I have you going straight back down. So enjoy your 38-week stay here in the Premier League. La Liga, this one would actually kind of break my heart a little bit, but this team's slowly been going in the wrong direction for 20. So, little backstory about this team: Valencia, solid La Liga side, was in the Champions League final the year I studied abroad in Germany.
Which broad?
All of them.
Keep going.
Yeah,
All of them.
And they lost to Real Madrid 3-0, but then proceeded to make it back the following year. Did they make it 2 years? Either 2 years in a row or 2 appearances in 3 years. Valencia was in the Champions League final. Didn't win either one, but they had a fantastic team. Rafa Benitez was the coach. They were high flying. They were winning La Liga titles, coinciding with Arsenal, I believe, at the time. Arsenal won a couple titles in the early 21st century. Valencia did too.
Gonna win it again.
I have Valencia getting... Yeah, so here's the difference. I have Arsenal... We'll talk about it later. I have Valencia getting relegated from La Liga for the first time, I think, in their club history. Look it up. But things aren't really working out for that club. A lot of in-house fighting, things like that. It's sad for me. It's a club I enjoyed from afar.
Whenever I think of Valencia, I think, didn't Villa and Silva play for that team?
David Silva, David Villa.
And that makes me worried about having an Arsenal tattoo, because if that could happen to Valencia, they get relegated this year.
Right?
If Arsenal gets relegated, I'll still love you guys.
Yeah.
And are you saying Arsenal is going to get relegated? Or bust? Bust for the season?
Bust. No, they just missed out on bust.
Okay.
My
Spurs. Okay.
My Ligue 1 bust of the year is, so, a little backstory here. Lyon was supposed to make Europa League for however they finished in Ligue 1. They had a lot of financial irresponsibility, and so they got kicked out of Europe. They got relegated from Ligue 1, and then proceeded to go to the courts, and they were able to get back in Ligue 1. They were able to get back in Europa League, which then knocked Crystal Palace down to the Conference League, which I think is absolutely insane. But the Crystal Palace and Lyon have similar shareholders. So there's a shareholder that has shares in both, and so you can't have two teams in the same league. And so because Lyon finished higher in their table than Crystal Palace did in the Premier League, Crystal Palace is to now play in the... Anyway, it's absolutely crazy.
Mr. Research over here.
Yeah, the chairman of Crystal Palace lost his mind. If you guys don't know, just read some of his comments on the situation. But anyway, for me, he'll get his last laugh because I have Lyon crashing out of Europa League in that weird 8-game, 36-team table.
Not putting it up.
Yeah, he's not putting it up. You guys know it now. If you've watched the episodes, you know what's happening.
Season 1.
Yeah. If you watch season 1, you know what it looks like. Lyon will not make the knockout rounds. You heard it here first. Crystal Palace will, and justice will be served.
That'd be sweet. That's your neutral team, right?
Yeah. So I want them to do well. Manchester United won't be in Europe, so not at our expense. They can go as far as they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Bundesliga flop of the season is, here's another team. No backstory here, but Wolfsburg, always floating around European places, whether it's Europa League, Champions League. They've always been good. Edin Dzeko, Ivan Perisic, fantastic players, part of that club.
I remember those names.
Yeah, Wolfsburg's always, kind of been in it. Developed good Eastern European talent. They don't have any of those guys anymore. I kind of looked over their roster and I knew like 3 guys, which is crazy for me considering I watch a lot of Bundesliga. And so I have them finishing 1 place ahead of the relegation zone. I still think between Volkswagen being their sponsor and finding ways to make them competitive and 40,000 fans every week, they'll be fine. But 15th for Wolfsburg is, I would say, flop of a season.
Okay. Oh, speaking of Bundesliga, we have some different Bivar Bay decoration here. What is this?
Yeah, this kind of leads into a little bit of everything. So, a guy who's never had a tryout. I hope you're not watching Gio, but you're a little bit entitled. Your whole family. They want to
Greg Berhalter.
Yeah, sending letters and emails to the coach of the U.S. national team. Yeah, 100%. Complaining about his place in the Borussia Dortmund team, so he went on loan to Nottingham Forest, and then that wasn't great, so then he came back. Anyway, don't be like Gio Reyna, guys. I bought his jersey because I had to. He's American. He plays for one of my favorite teams. But when you go to tryouts, believe in yourself. Do the right things. Don't Don't send the emails. Don't send the phone calls.
Yeah. Listen to Matt's advice.
Yeah.
I heard he might go to LAFC. That's what I heard this week.
Back in the MLS.
Who did he play for in the MLS earlier?
He was either NYCFC or New York Red Bulls. I know his dad has some sort of
Red Bull sounds
relationship
right.
there, yeah. And then straight over to Europe. So
You think that could help launchpad him into something again?
Well, I think hard work launchpads you into something, but
Oh, you didn't make the Dortmund team? Well, guess what? Well, you didn't make the Forest team? Well, guess what?
LAFC now. I hope there's a happy ending there. Hey, technically, I still think he's the best American, technically. And
Currently?
So, yeah. Maybe, that might be the best way to put it. And I think in we're 12 months away from the World Cup, and I think the team could still use a guy like him, so I wish him all the best. I want the U.S. to do well, but
I like him. I like his play on the field. I don't like the other stuff. Whatever he gets up to, you follow it closer than I do, but
he did nothing for Dortmund last year, guys, so
there's a little something there. Hopefully he turns that spark into a fire.
yeah. And then finally, my Serie A flop of the year. This is tough for me. I think they missed out anyway, but I don't think they're going to make it again either. AC Milan, guys, in the last 20 years has been like a staple of Champions Leagues. I think outside of Real Madrid, they have the most Champions League titles in Europe. And lately, things just haven't been going their way. Zlatan, I think, is like on the board. And they're trying to do the right things, but they're not. And they missed out on Champions League soccer this year, I believe. And I have them missing out on it again as well. I haven't seen the additions to the team that, Christian Pulisic's there and we all love him. There's a few others, Rafael Leao, who shockingly is still there. He should be on the top 10 European side. But AC Milan.
Maybe second transfer window.
There's still time for you, Leao. But yeah, Napoli, Inter, Atalanta's going through some changes, but I still think they can be competitive enough. And then lest we not forget Juventus. And so, AC Milan's got a little work to do. And so...
Oh, yeah, that nine-team race, right? At one point.
Yeah, there were 9 teams separated by 6 points.
And I thought they were first, right? I guess they were actually 8th.
Yeah, they were...
He
thought they were first.
That's why Nate's on the podcast.
All right, guys, and finally, let's talk about my 5, as of right now, because there's still a second window for 6 more weeks. If the league starts today with the teams locked in, these are my 5 title winners for the top 5 leagues. We'll start with the Serie A. We'll go straight in. And this is if Lookman signs with Inter Milan, but I'm going to give it to Inter Milan because that's an extremely exciting front 3. And then when one of them gets tired, Marcus Thuram comes in and the level doesn't drop off. He was in there this year and they made the Champions League final. I think if DeMarco can forgive himself for his performance in the Champions League final, this is still a high-class team. And
he's got treated like a year-round tryout. If you mess up several times in the Champions League final, pick yourself back up, respond, react to it in a nice, healthy way.
Healthy way. And lift the Serie A trophy. Bundesliga, do we need to get into it? Bundesliga Ligue 1, PSG Bayern Munich. The end, let's go.
Okay. Yeah.
La Liga, 3-horse race now. Atletico was in it till the final weeks of the season last year. And then obviously the big 2, Real Madrid and Barcelona. Real Madrid bringing in a new coach, Xabi Alonso, with his high press. Is Kylian Mbappe, Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, some of these other guys, are they going to work hard in that system? It's going to be exciting to find out. My answer for that is no, and that's why I have FC Barcelona with future Ballon d'Or winner Lamine Yamal and Robert Lewandowski kind of in his swan song, and Rafinha still on top form, and Dani Olmo and Pedri and Gavi, and we can do it, guys. Like, that whole roster is Ferran Torres. It's fantastic.
Run out of fingers to count.
They really haven't had any... Marcus Rashford has reached out to them saying, I would love to be on loan and play at Barcelona. Barcelona's not interested. There's no reason why they should. They're 1 through 23. They're one of the most talented teams in Europe, if not the most. And so I think they're going to pip Real Madrid and Atletico to the title.
Question for you. So in 2012, I want to say El Clasico was the game of the year. Maybe Champions League final or something, but besides that, I watched every single El Clasico. I would skip class. Don't skip class. But it was a big deal. Do you think we can get back to those days where El Clasico recently has been like, I could watch it or not? Is it going to be one of the games of the year again? Or maybe the game of the year coming up?
I think we're getting close. So Real Madrid, for the first time in years, their transfer window was not... They didn't go out and get Galacticos, right? Superstars. They went out and like filled their roster with players that, buy into the defensive side of things. Xabi Alonso and his... If you guys watch Leverkusen, they played like this almost 5-2-2-1 where it was a back five, but the wing backs were as high as the center forward at time. I mean, it's just insane the way they pressed and won the ball. And it's... I'm geeking out right now, guys, but it's truly awesome. We'll see if Xabi Alonso can replicate that with Real Madrid, but he's buying the right players for that. And so their signing of the summer was actually Huijsen from Bournemouth, the center back that can play with the ball a little bit and, great at man marking and getting the ball to the zone quickly, that kind of thing. And, it wasn't like I'm not sure who the fans wanted, but, the Kylian Mbappe of yesteryear hasn't been signed. Rodrigo might be on the outs, so they're looking at kind of building the team game. I think it's going to take a while, and so it's not going to have that star luster. They're probably going to get him. It's going to be insane.
Rodrigo to Arsenal?
It's top 2 or 3 for me. The Saudi league can give him whatever he wants.
I don't think he wants that.
I don't think he wants that either. He's already said no. I really think I think somebody's going to come in late at the end. It's Bayern Munich for me because Musiala's out. They have the money. They can do it. Thomas Mueller's salary's off the books. But Arsenal or Bayern, if one of those two teams gets Rodrigo, it's great for him. And, But heading back to Barcelona and Madrid and their El Clasicos. And then Barcelona, they don't feel like they need to make that big purchase. And so this year there's not any, new star quality that might draw in fans. But I still think it's going to be a great game. It's just, when you had Cristiano Ronaldo and Mesut Ozil and Gareth Bale on one side, and then you had Messi and David Villa and
Busquets, Iniesta, Xavi, Dani Alves,
PK, Puyol.
Victor Valdez even had his moments where he's kind of fun. No, not super awesome, but fun to watch.
He was crazy.
He's doing something.
I mean, one day he was amazing, saved everything, and Barcelona won 5-0, and Jose Mourinho stalked off, and just you never know where you're gonna get. But I don't know if we'll get that kind of showpiece from El Clasico, but I still think there'll be some good games.
Speaking of transfers, Arsenal this season, we're finally back in business. Everyone thought Edu was cooking. He was microwaving. Compared to what Barta's doing now. We got Barta from Atletico Madrid, their sporting director, the transfer guy. And now we're in conversations with Gyökeres, Rodrigo, Madueke, Mosquera. The sprinklers outside.
Yeah, good signing.
But he's cooking. Where has this been? We can actually maybe win a title this year.
This year? Do you think so? Who do I have for... Oh my goodness.
Oh, is that?
My Premier League title winners is Arsenal London, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe not even if. Madueke is already in. That Valencia center back,
Mosquera.
He's leaving. Mosquera, he's got to get out before the ship goes down. He's already in, and then
Valencia, okay.
Yeah. And then Zubamendi from Sociedad, he's already in. So they've already gotten the 3 guys for me that have fixed, what was wrong with them. Saka overplayed, and Thomas Partey not quite good enough.
And other things with Thomas Partey we won't get into.
Yeah, we can't talk about that stuff on the podcast. But I think Arsenal's done everything right. Even Kepa as a backup keeper, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Raya can take a breather, in Carabao Cup and FA Cup matches. They've really kind of had a picture, and they're following it. And if Rodrigo comes in and sits on that left side and Gyökeres up top,
and Martinelli's off my team. He puts in defensive work, but that's about it. His finishing terrible. Shoots near post every time, hits the side net, or worse.
Is he your 9th left back? If Rodrigo comes in?
Left back, okay. Actually, yeah, you can be 9th left back.
So, yeah, guys, I mean, Liverpool's done great. They probably had the best window, but I think Arsenal's had the right window, and I do think there's a difference. And we'll find out in about 3 weeks' time.
It might take more than that. It might take 9 months and 3 years. Or 3
Game
weeks.
game one. No, game one for me. I'll know if Arsenal's good enough to win the title. Well,
I already know,
see.
but I'm. I get illogical when it comes to Arsenal sometimes. You have to be if you love the club, right? Sometimes you just gotta believe you're gonna win. Nate's backyard's making noise.
Yeah. And so tonight I kind of want to provide you guys with a topic. If we have any new viewers or, old viewers that kind of watch us but don't watch the game.
Season 2.
Yeah, see, we're in season 2 now, guys. And you're a new fan and, you want to enjoy soccer more. I just kind of want to, give a little advice as we move into this new season. So I say if you're a new fan of the game this year, maybe take that initiative and try to follow a team that you like. Maybe let's say you like long ball. Burnley joining the Premier League. Perfect team for you. It's 50-yard, diagonal passes.
Direct,
yeah. 4-4-2, and it's just two center forwards running back and forth.
Let the other teams play pretty soccer.
Yeah. Burnley's
We're going to the goal.
Long ball. Or, if you love the tiki-taka stuff, obviously we've spent 20 minutes talking about Barcelona. That's probably the team for you. If you love, you want to do something exotic and impress your friends, maybe it's Eintracht Frankfurt, who probably should be 8th every year in Germany, but they're 3rd because they play super attractive soccer, but nobody cheers for them. And
It does.
Low-key, they're fun. When they play Bayern Munich, I cheer for them. But, so new fans, just take that first step and, join the conversation. For you longtime fans that have already found your team, the Arsenals, the Manchester Uniteds, the Borussia Dortmunds,
The Minneapolis Cities.
I hate doing this, but I got a Chelsea jersey up here for you guys tonight. Congrats on that stupid competition.
Now we can leave it up.
Yeah. Maybe this year, take on your club's history. If you're a Manchester United fan, realize before we were red, yellow, and white, we were green and yellow. I mean, those were our first
Gross.
colors as a club. Yeah. Or where did Arsenal play before the ridiculously expensive Emirates Stadium?
Highbury. Well, I shouldn't give you the answer. Look it up.
Yeah.
I'll bleep it out maybe.
Right? All right, somebody messing with the sprinklers out there. What is happening? All right, and then finally in pro soccer, I just kind of wanted to share with you guys my story about how I got into the game and kind of my first experience. It wasn't even a team for me; it was an event. So from the year I was born to 1998, I didn't give a crap about soccer. I didn't watch it, didn't play it. Sometimes I went to a sports camp over the summer and I would do it there and I would enjoy it, but they'd be like, Nate, work on juggling 10 times. And I wouldn't, that's as much as I gave to soccer. And actually a friend of mine suggested, he goes, Nate, soccer's actually awesome and super fun to watch and intellectual and you'll love it because that's the kind of guy you are. And he's like, we're literally 6 weeks out from the 1998 World Cup and I think you should watch these teams and these guys. And so I was like, all right, I'll give you that, dude. It's my best friend. You know me pretty well. I'll give it a shot. And so at the time, a friend of ours bought me for my birthday the Sports Illustrated 52 weekly issue magazine. And so I was getting all the issues. And literally weeks later, Sports Illustrated.
Nate's looking at the swimsuit edition. He's like, oh yeah, soccer is pretty good.
Yeah. Tyra Banks. But the 1998 issue came out, and on the front it had Zinedine Zidane and Yuri Zhorkaev, and it said France, it's time to win their first World Cup or something like that. And so I was reading the backstory and realized that France had never won anything before, but this was a super huge footballing nation and they were hosting and this was going to be their time. And I really enjoyed that article and the way it was presented. And France hosting means Germany's right next door, Netherlands is right next door, Italy's next door, Spain's next door, all these great teams. And every game, from the quarterfinals on is going to be a rivalry. And I kind of bought into that. And so but anyway, it really changed my life. I really bought into the Netherlands team. That actually ended up being my team, Dennis Bergkamp. I see what's happening. It's hitting the windows every 60 seconds. This is
We're filming this at midnight.
Yeah. My sprinklers are on overnight, guys. I apologize.
Usually asleep by now. You don't know the sprinklers are on.
Yeah. But anyway, Dennis Bergkamp, Clarence Seedorf, Edgar Davids, there's something about that team that was just special. That World Cup for me was special. The timing was right. Games were on like 2 p.m. right when I was getting home from high school. And now, for a kid who grew up, loving football and basketball, soccer's my number one. I do a soccer podcast with a soccer coach and ask soccer questions. I love it. I wouldn't change it. So, yeah, that's my pro soccer story. And should we get an extra time?
No extra time.
No, 0 minutes. Referee gave 0.
No added time. Beep, beep. Oh, we do have the scouting report, though. Scouting report, Nate.
Let's do it.
We got to change. It's not professional anymore. We're doing the scouting report.
All right, guys. Welcome to the scouting report. For those of you that might be watching this for the first time, we talk about something we're looking forward to or providing hope, within the game. And so I'll start first. Kind of a theme here, but I'm looking forward to tryouts. For me personally, I just love seeing my kids, with that new energy, kind of renewed. They get excited, potential new friends, stuff like that. Chance to showcase things they might have been working on that they're afraid to do in the previous season. And then for myself, I enjoy seeing parents and just kind of having conversations again, and everybody, for me, it's non-stress. I know it's stressful for a lot of parents, but I've kind of gotten to that place where I don't really experience it anymore. I love the game and love being around it. And then quickly for you kids, I'm looking forward to you finding clubs that make you happy, finding coaches that make you happy, positions that make you happy, just, going to tryouts and, find the place that's right for you.
Yeah, I think it's super important is, maybe try a couple different places, go to a couple different tryouts, but I think Bergkamp said it where it's like when you find a club, and he's maybe talking about more pro, but maybe it relates to what you're saying is when you find a club that you love, you don't need a reason. You just kind of feel it, right? Maybe I'll put the quote up. He says it way better than I can, but you find that club and it just makes sense for you, and that's a great feeling, right? Maybe you get a tattoo of it. I don't know. Maybe get a youth club tattoo if you.
Right? Salvo?
Don't do it before your youth career's over. That'd be weird. But for me, like you said, new year, chance for coach a new team, make some new connections. I have a new role at my club. I'll be the girls 12 and older director, as well as still
The sprinkler's also clapping for Charlie.
I'll be the sprinkler operator at Nate's house too. But a little chance to do something different. Kind of my plan was going from 5s and 7s to 9s, getting good at that. Going from 9s to 11s. I get to do those last 2 steps all in one now. And that comes with different teams, different players, different challenges. Right? There's always challenges no matter what you do, but I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to the new connections with the players, the coaches, everything new. Right? It's a fresh start, fresh year of soccer, fresh year of pro soccer, youth soccer, fresh season of the podcast, maybe some fresh interviews like VanBenschoten. Super cool. Let's have some more of that, right? Coming up this season, Grassroots Champions Soccer Podcast Season 2.
Starts here.
Let's go.